Report. It's the bottom of the hour. Time for the top of the news. He's not acting much like a grieving husband, but who's to say? At least that's what one body language expert tells us after our interview today on Studio B with Drew Peterson. He was happy and joking around at first until the questions got, well, more specific. Listen. The neighbors said that they saw you carrying out a big blue barrel that would be big enough.
Again, Shepard, that's not what we agreed to talk about. You know,
I didn't agree to any restrictions on conversation. I would never do that. I just wonder what.
Okay, well then I guess I got to walk away. Have a good day, Mr. Shepard.
The body language expert who watched the interview with us during the 3 p.m. Eastern Time hour today described Peterson as arrogant and swaggering, and she pointed out something else. Listen.
Well, did you notice how he's holding his hands in front of the lower portion of his body?
I did.
That's a protective gesture. That shows that he's feeling a little bit vulnerable. So that, of course, along with the swaying back and forth, you know, the childlike swaying tells me he's uncomfortable. Of course, it's cold out, so, you know, he could be fidgeting to keep warm. But the hands down low, that's a signal.
One person's opinion still. She says obviously none of that proves he's guilty, but she calls the arrogance, the swaggering, that protective position, big red flags. Attorney Monica Lindstrom is live in Phoenix with us to give us some legal perspective on all this. Now, Monica, the other day, as the whole world was focusing on politics, the police in Bolingbrook, Illinois, came out with the following. They are now classifying this as a murder, and he's classified as the prime suspect. Legally speaking, what does that mean?
Well, that means that he's the main person that they're looking at, and I believe he's one of the only persons that he's looking at. So all of their focus is on him. So instead of laying low, keeping his comments to himself, and staying out of the media, here we have the same old Drew getting right back in the middle of it. And I can't believe that he hasn't realized that everything he says and everything he does can be used against him either in the investigation or in any upcoming trial.
You know, every time he comes on air, it seems to be to try to get back at somebody. In this case, it appears he's been angry with a local radio station guy who mocks him in the mornings and all the rest. So I guess he came on to try to get at that guy, and then when the questions got specific and became germane, then, well, then he refuses to talk.
And, you know, America has to be looking at this saying, here was your chance. You could have told us you didn't do it, or you were innocent, or you could have explained the whole rumor about the blue barrel. But did he? No. He gets upset. He tries to blame you for not sticking to some kind of agreement that he thought he had. There was no agreement. And then he just kind of stomps off. He had his chance. He could have just helped himself so much, and he refused to do it.
I want to tell you what the agreement was, since you brought it up again. What we agreed to, I agreed to, through a producer, agreed to ask him about this dating game thing. For one thing, I thought it was interesting. But it was from the, I did ask him about it. And from then, we were to move on. You're not going to have some guy on to talk about a dating game when he's suspected of murder. That's preposterous. Nobody worth anything would do that.
No, I completely agree. And back to this dating game thing, it's almost as if he's acting like he's already written her off for dead. Here he is 3 months later, and he wants to do a dating competition on the radio. It's a comedy. Well, and you know, Shep, I can't even believe it when he said that it was his attorney's idea.
Well, I don't want to. I don't like being in a position to defend him, and I won't. But I will tell you his side of things. Drew Peterson says that the reason that all this came up was because the reason for the dating in the first place was because he believes that he says she called him and she ran off with another man, that she's deserted him, and he's going to move on. Be that as it may, and as strange as this may be, Monica, right now there's breaking news. And that breaking news is the following. In Chicago, just moments ago, we're told that authorities have found human remains in a place next to a blue barrel. Is there a connection? I have absolutely zero reason to believe that there's a connection. However, this isn't far from Bolingbrook, Illinois, the place from which Stacy Peterson disappeared, the place from which witnesses say that they saw Drew Peterson and another man carry a blue barrel that was, quote, warm to the touch out of his garage. No connection of any kind, as far as I know. But Trace Gallagher has more info in the newsroom now. Trace, what do you have?
Certainly no connection we know of either, Shep. It's being described as a blue garbage can. It's happening apparently on the south side of Chicago. You can see the crews are on the scene right now. It was found in the Illinois Sanitary Shipping Canal, which is on 34th and Kedzie, for those who know the area. It was found by a city inspector a short time ago. Apparently they have found a human foot and a leg along with, now they're not saying if it was inside or if it was found near, they're saying along with what's being described as a blue garbage can. It's being reported by WBBM Radio in Chicago and NBC5 there. They're giving very little information except to say they don't know if it's connected. What they are saying is they will do an autopsy sometime tomorrow to see if, in fact, this may be connected to Stacy Peterson's disappearance. No one's making the link yet, but we all know when you have blue barrel and body in the same sentence, that brings you right back to Drew Peterson.
You know, I started getting email from viewers about this, Trace, about 10 minutes ago from people in the Chicago area who'd been hearing this on WBBM and WLS in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And the viewers have already put it all together. We're trying to make sure that that absolutely is not the case.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. You don't want to put this together if it's not. I mean, it certainly is coincidental. We'll give you that. I mean, a blue barrel, and again, when they're saying a blue garbage can, was it a blue barrel? We heard initially that it was kind of one of those blue drum barrels. Remember that report saying that it looked like a big 50-gallon drum? This is being pretty specific, saying that it's a blue garbage can. Now, we don't know if they're mistaking the two. We don't know if they're calling a drum a garbage can, so we don't want to tie the two together when we just don't quite know what's happening right now. We do know they've confirmed that there were human remains found in there, a foot and a leg found either near or in this blue garbage can. The autopsy tomorrow, Shep.
And this is on the southwest side of Chicago, Trace?
Yeah, it's in the Illinois Sanitary Shipping Canal, and I'm kind of trying to figure out from my days in Chicago. Yeah, it's in the Sanitary Shipping Canal area. That right there would be the canal. I'm not sure if it's frozen over or if they're just backed away from the canal because it's kind of hard to see right now, but that's where this was found by a city inspector who was kind of touring the area. He found this blue garbage can, and apparently there were some human remains either next to it, near it, or in it.
All right. As Trace mentioned, there will be an autopsy conducted tomorrow. Right. The moment we know anything more on this, we'll bring it to you right away. In the